We were talking a moment ago. I had an email from a P1 listener who said, this is about eating as well. I'm with your friend Dingle. Now, again, that's Diesel.
Please refer to him by his given nickname.
That is Diesel. It is not Dingle.
That's what we call him in the winter.
She said, I guess we just replayed this on a re-air, and she goes, I can't stand QR code menus. What a stupid thing, and they scam you half the time. I will not QR code a menu. I will ask for a paper menu to be brought over. And Biggie said he had a story. We were just talking about the guy who tried to pay for a Burger King meal with crystal meth, and then the pizza restaurant that was running drugs out of the restaurant. You had something that went along with that.
Yeah, this is very early. I'd just been hired at the pizza place. I was about 16, 17 years old.
Yeah.
And we delivered to a very liberal arts college in town, a small school. You probably know it.
I know it.
And what started happening was we started getting calls, and this is not the way it worked, at least not in corporate pizza. You couldn't request your delivery driver. So somebody from this college would call up and say, I want a large cheese pizza, but it has to be delivered by Chris.
Okay.
That's a made-up name.
Yeah, and we'd be like, no, you can't pick your delivery driver. No, it has to be delivered by Chris. No one else but Chris can deliver it.
So
at this point, you're taking orders over the phone.
And you're typing this in, and it's like, no, bro, you're going to get whichever driver. Never mind. Click.
Really?
Yeah. So then it started happening really more frequently to the point that the manager was like, okay, something is clearly going on
right,
here.
What is Chris doing?
Yeah.
Right,
well, Chris was dealing pod on the side.
Yeah.
But there was no special code besides large cheese to this. But they'd call, and he didn't tell them, like, don't, so you'd have 5 calls a night. I need Chris to deliver my pizza. And only Chris. So they had to fire Chris.
Well, of course
Which
they
he
did.
fessed up. He said, and he didn't even seem surprised because they were like, why are all these college kids calling up and asking for you? Oh, I'm selling them pot.
Oh, well, that's
like,
it.
They're like, well, you're fired.
Yeah.
You can't do that.
Yeah.
But they had no code, no anything, just, I have to have Chris deliver it and only Chris.
But that's kind of a strange business model for Chris, frankly.
Well, I was going to say if it would really work if there was a way that he could deliver to the right places, somehow.
But it's just random.
Yeah.
It is. It's just random. If he could figure out a way
Yeah.
to just, like, I've got the college beat and just put the weed in the pizza box.
I'll take all the dorms. You guys take the house.
Yeah, but it doesn't work that way.
Well, yeah, and the cheapest at the time, the cheapest thing you could get for delivery was a large cheese. So they would know, he'd say, hey, just call up and get a large cheese pizza, make it for delivery, and tell them you want me to deliver it, and that just wasn't possible.
I think he's an inefficient drug dealer and a bad pizza delivery driver.
All of it.
I mean, if I was his supplier, I'd fire him.
Yeah.
But wait, I thought it was
he was like, tell your friends.
I thought it was clever. If you get
Well, the idea is clever, but the execution is poor.
well, how could you execute it? No way.
There's not at least the way it works in like corporate pizza places, your drivers, say you have 4 or 5 drivers on it in a night. It just goes in a circle on, who's back, who's ready. So that's what was the giveaway, was they'd be like, no one else.
You'd need to pick it up.
So today, there it is.
Yeah,
Pick
but there's
it
no
up.
guarantee he's there.
But there's no guarantee he's going to be the one. He might be out on a
Wouldn't make your
delivery.
pie.
Yeah.
Dang.
It was wasn't this a Dempsey movie? Didn't somebody, every time people ordered extra anchovies and he went and had sex with the moms
Yes.
or something?
Yeah. And this might have
Now
been
that worked.
That
Yeah,
might
that
have been his
Good film.
inspiration.
That worked.
Guilty pleasure.
Good film.
Yeah, that is a guilty pleasure. What was that called?
I can't remember the name of that movie. Patrick Dempsey is back in the 80s.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Have you listened to this week's podcast, The Square and the Round?
Oh, no. Is that a podcast?
Yes. That's our podcast.
I don't listen to podcasts.
Myself and BB Shea. Well,
I haven't seen it promoted anywhere.
we are, this week we dive into guilty pleasure movies.
Yeah. You two are both guilty pleasures. In and of yourself.
Maybe it's time to change the name.
Guilty
Guilty pleasures.
My dear friend Biggie, we had a live studio audience this week, and Biggie was the one in the audience. And when BB Shea gave his biggest guilty pleasure movie, Biggie had to walk out of the room. That's how bad a movie this is.
You don't usually walk the room like
And
that in
Biggie
a
had to
podcast.
leave.
Go look for it wherever you get your podcasts.
Heroin Scott, you're talking about Biggie's story about delivering drugs. Go ahead.
Yeah, I sold weed and delivered pizzas for years and never got caught up on anything. Of course, my managers didn't care as long as the pizza got there. but you didn't give the customers or somebody like that your phone, tell them to call the store. They would, use my pager or my cell phone or whatever I may have had at the time. They'd page me. The next delivery I had, I'd go deliver the pizza, plus I'd deliver my bag of weed, so I'd get a tip, plus I'd make my money off my weed.
That's the way to do it.
But you're making two different stops.
You're making 2 stops, though. But it'd be hard if you're like on one side of town versus the other. You have to say when I get over there,
Yeah.
And let me tell you, back then you could. Now, I mean, we can track we tracked.
Oh, you know where they are. Of course.
Yeah. So back then you could take, a little extra time to yourself.
Thanks, Heroin Scott. Hey, let me ask you this. If I'm now, let's say I order a pizza online, and in the notes department, the notes category, if I said, I'd appreciate it if Chris could deliver my pizza, you just ignore it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Pretty much. I mean, because it just goes into.
Because you can't say to them, you can't write them back.
If you want to see somebody, your best thing is to pick it up.
Yeah.
But
you're not guaranteed they're there.
Yeah.
Like
and now I will say, you have your customers who order all the time. They get to like certain delivery drivers, but they almost learn their schedule. They'll call and say, oh, is so-and-so working today?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah. That makes sense.
Well, with cell phones nowadays, it's easier. But this was a kid probably calling from a payphone on the college campus.
Or his own
in the hallway.
In the hallway.
Oh,
or
it's from their dorm
or
phone.
his dorm.
Yeah.
That's where he's calling from.
Yeah.
Anonymous, you're talking about delivering drugs. Go ahead.
Yeah, when I was in college for one summer, I worked at a freaky fast sandwich shop in town, and I worked delivery driving on the weekends from Friday, Saturday, and Sunday from 10 p.m. to 3 a.m. And my manager pulled me aside a couple weeks in and was like, "Hey, if you want to make some extra money, I can put some of this in the bags, and you go make the delivery. I'll give you $20 a delivery every time you do it."
Wow.
Man, I was so rich by the end of that summer. I was delivering drugs every freaking weekend.
Dang, your manager was behind it. That's how you have to. If you're the manager, or you're okay with it as a manager, as long as you get a kickback, it works. So you were freaky fast and out of 10 orders, how many drugs would you like? 5 of them were drug deliveries.
Probably 3 or 4. But I mean, working a 4-hour shift.
Yeah.
I mean, I'd come in and there'd be some bags set to the side, and he'd just kind of give me a look, and then at the end of the night, he'd just cash me out, and that was it.
Man, I'm so naive. I would never ever have called him. I would never even. I could work there and not know that was going on.
You could have been the assistant manager and not know.
And not known, exactly. And was it all weed or was it other drugs too?
It was all weed.
That's what I figured. Yep.
I had some standard.
Of course. Good for you. Thank you, Anonymous.
He's not a felon.
When's the last time you had large cheese, Kelly?
I love a large cheese. That's my... Oh, I see what you're trying to do. He's trying to wind me up. I see what you're trying to do.
Saturday.
Large cheese is my thing. That's my thing.
I bet it is.
I don't eat pizza right now.
That college,
I don't eat pizza. Not right now.
Growing up, I was told that college was really hard to get into.
Yeah.
And for years, I dealt with them, and they were full of idiots.
Yeah, but that is a hard college to get into.
It was, yeah. But I mean, because even after he was fired, they'd still call up and would be like, Chris is no longer working here. And some would be like, "Well, does anyone else sell pot?" No, man.
Who replaced Chris?
Yeah.
I need Chris.
Is there anyone else that sells pot there?
I need Chris's replacement.
Yeah.
To
what
deliver.
they do, they learned a lesson from Chris.
Yeah.
Victim of age.
Yeah. I remember my manager looking at me after his fire and being like, "That is one of the dumbest people I've ever met."
Oh yeah.
The guy delivering. Yeah.
But if the manager had been in on it, the last call, then you got something, you got a little something going there.
You got a ring.
Another email here from a P1, and she says, that girl you play who is literally shaking?
I'm literally shaking thinking about the possibility of this.
I had an issue with something like that this past weekend. This lady says, keep me anonymous, but I am a P1 listener, a female, and this past weekend I hired a new girl to babysit for us. She's a friend of ours' daughter. She's 16 years old. I had her over to look at our 5-year-old, and it was the first time she was babysitting for us. I was showing her around the house, and she was curious to see the finished basement. Now, we have a finished basement that is basically my husband's man cave, which is a showcase of his hunting trophies and military memorabilia. She asked if the deer heads on the wall, and there are 3 down there, were alive before they ended up on our wall. And I said, well, yes, my husband shot and killed them. And she said, I am literally shaking right now.
I'm literally shaking thinking about the possibility of this.
Yeah.
She said, I am so sorry, but I am triggered and I cannot come down here.
Yeah, maybe it's best.
Well, she don't need to be down there.
She says, that's fine. Our son never goes down there anyway. I don't think she's going to babysit for us anymore.
No, I don't think so.
I am literally shaking. I cannot see something like this. I don't believe she'll go down there. I do not think so.
Yeah, I mean, dead animals down there.
Yeah, she didn't want to be down there with that. I was trying to think, is there anything in our house that would freak somebody out by saying, I don't think so. We have no dead animals on the wall.
No dead animals.
I don't think there'd be anything.
And the teenage son's out, so
he's gone.
That won't scare anybody off.
That would scare people off for sure. I don't think so. We have a pretty tame house.
Yeah, our artwork is pretty generic.
Yeah, I don't think they're going to catch anything like that. Here's the other things. The list now of things that people hate most when they're driving. Potholes was number one. And what was the other?
No turn signal.
No turn signal and cutting in on you when you turn. These are the things that people hate most when driving. The other is people in the left-hand lane driving too slowly, which, of course, you hear about all the time.
All the time.
And bicyclists hogging the road. Bicyclists hogging
like a group of them?
I guess so. Yeah. I guess if they're, but they have as much right to the road as the rest of us.
They do, but drivers hate it.
They do, yeah. The drivers hate that.
And there are cyclists who abuse it. But
you think that go out?
I know they do. I mean, there's as a moving vehicle, they are supposed to follow the rules of the road.
Yeah,
meaning stop signs, what have you.
Yeah,
but they don't always.
Yeah, I guess
they make it tougher on the cyclists who do behave.
They're easily people who do that are easily hateable for drivers on that side.
This has burned me up lately, and it's a much more modern, I suppose, invention. Nobody knows how to operate at a four-way stop sign.
Oh, that's
Nobody.
true.
No one.
It is astonishing.
They teach that in driver's ed.
I would hope now because there's so many of them. They didn't. It wasn't a thing when I was learning to drive.
Oh, really? I remember them.
Four-way stop
I remember them teaching that when I was in school, and they hammered it. Because it was something that maybe it was even new, or
our town was full of four-way
stops. Yeah,
it's because you end up with the type of person where you know what you're doing, and you have the person who waits too long, and doesn't understand how it goes, and then you have the impatient person who, because they think they're important, anytime they pull up, they should get to go.
Yeah,
it's
true.
And then you get the person who, when it's their turn to go, tries to wave you through.
Yeah,
and then
messes everything
up.
That don't wave anybody else through. Because if it's your turn to go, you've got to go.
And never trust anyone when they wave you. We had a bad wreck as a family like that.
Really?
Somebody waved my mom across.
Yeah.
Like, come on.
Yeah.
But my mom trusted them. Shouldn't have. Got T-boned.
And then do they just disappear after your mom's T-bone?
Yeah,
they're gone.
they're
They wave
gone.
you through and they're gone. That's true. Not just four-way stops, but people do seem to be thrown by those roundabouts.
Oh, forget about it.
Forget that.
They do, but I love the roundabout.
I do too.
I'll take that over a four-way stop any day of the week. You don't have to stop.
I think the roundabout is more convenient and does move traffic through pretty well if you just understand it.
If you understand it.
Right, yeah.
But you first-timers usually get in the roundabout and stop.
Yeah.
at each little intersection.
I know.
They stop.
That's frustrating.
That's
hateful. When you see that's frustrating and hateful. Maybe and Biggie complains about road rage, which there is a lot of it these days, but maybe that's why these things are happening. Buddy is on the line and commenting on the four-way stop or a stop sign. Buddy, go ahead.
One of the ones I hate, and luckily it doesn't happen often, but when you get to a light that is completely out, not flashing or anything.
Yeah.
You're supposed to treat that like a four-way stop. I mean, I've had the finger given to me. I get cursing, honking.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
You're right.
That is post-apocalyptic. When the power's out and the lights aren't working.
Oh, my God.
And there's no one to direct traffic.
You better be careful there. Because nobody knows what
He's
they're
right.
doing.
If you stop, people lose their minds.
That's true.
And it's like, no, I'm doing the right thing.
I know.
Most people are under the impression that the busier roadway of the two
goes
gets to go.
Yeah.
And that's not how it's supposed to be.
No, it's not. And what he just meant, flashing red lights. Some people don't stop at them. You have to stop at a flashing red light. That is to stop. Look, it's like a stop sign. You look around and then you go.
And on that bike thing too, the bike lanes that you see that are usually on the right-hand side of the lane you're in.
Yeah.
You can't go around people when they stop to make a left-hand turn. You can't go. That's illegal to go around those in the bike lane.
Oh,
to
yes.
get past people.
Oh, yes, that is illegal.
It's a solid white line.
That's true.
And if a cop see you, they'll get you for that.
Yeah. Mike, you're talking about driving and things that are problems. Go ahead.
Yeah, my pet peeve is when you're behind someone at an unprotected green light and they are trying to make a left turn, and so am I, and they won't pull out into the intersection on the green.
Right.
And they'll sit behind the stop line, and sometimes the light turns red, and they'll just sit there for another cycle, and you're going, Pull on out in the intersection.
I've seen
I'm
that.
going to
one.
have to go ahead and disagree with you there. That's technically what you're supposed to do, I believe.
I think Chris Demm is right.
I think it is a thing to do, but
you're not supposed to creep.
It's not what we like.
I do creep.
I creep.
I do too. Thank you, Mike. I'm the same way, and I do hate it. Because even if you're stopped behind the stop line, if it's a green light, eventually after it turns yellow, you're going to get a chance to turn. I hate it when we sit there for a whole other cycle and he's still in front of it.
If across the intersection there's a left turn lane for another, that you can get out there because they're not trying to turn left.
That's right.
They have to wait for the light.
Yeah.
At least you can go when it turns yellow.
I hear you. That's right.
Red even.
Listen,
that is frustrating, but I think the letter of the law would say you have to wait in your lane.
I think that's right. Smith, you're talking about traffic and what bothers you. Go ahead.
Yes, I run a quad.
Oh, we're losing you. We're losing your phone.
Highway, merging traffic. Merging traffic. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I got you now. Yeah, go ahead.
Yep. Merging traffic. People do not know how to use an acceleration lane.
That's fact.
They come and get right.
I know what he means.
He's right.
He's right.
They just use it as a launch ramp.
Correct.
Nobody knows what yield means anymore.
That is.
I mean, you're supposed if you can get over, if you're in the travel lane and allow someone to merge in,
yes.
but you don't have to.
That's right.
If you're not able to,
that's right.
The car merging on is supposed to slow down.
You have to slow down and wait.
Yeah, they have the yield sign at the top of the ramp.
Of course. UPS man, you're talking about bad driving techniques. Go ahead.
Oh, Lord, yeah, dude. I see them every day.
I bet. I'm sure
so
you do.
People see the big brown truck, and they get scared.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'll be at a driveway with plenty of space between me and the road, and they'll be going across into the other lane of oncoming traffic thinking, oh, no, it's a big brown truck. And, I mean, it's crazy, dude. I was on 86 in Yanceyville, and I had a car stopped in the oncoming lane to turn into a driveway across in front of me.
Mm-hmm.
Stopped there, waited until I got to him, turned in front of me. I had to slam on the brakes, skid the tires, about T-bone him.
Why in the world? It's like he wanted to wait for you and then got scared and skittish and went in front of you all of a sudden. That's crazy. Yeah, I bet you do. As a UPS driver, you see that all the time.
Oh, yeah.
Big brown truck.
Wow. He knows this now. UPS drivers are good drivers. And Biggie says the best delivery men by far.
They typically always honk when they're getting ready to pull away.
Yeah.
Which I appreciate.
Thank you for your service, UPS man.
Yes, indeed.
We certainly appreciate
They
it.
deliver it to your door. They are professional. They are courteous. They know how to drive.
This is something Biggie appreciates. And he don't get him started on FedEx or Amazon drivers.
Oh, yeah.
He doesn't care for either one of those.
If they're within a mile of your house, they'll just leave it.
That's right.